All right, everyone, today we have the 2020 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, and today I'm going to give you a night review looking at the exterior lights, the interior lights, and we're going to go for a test drive and see how well they do. So as you can see, you definitely have a very unique style overall and very unique headlights. Let's go ahead and dive in. Now this particular model is the limited trim. All models get LED headlights and these LED daytime running lights, but these headlights, we kind of have a matrix style headlight design. Only the limited gives you this particular style of LED headlight, and I'll tell you the difference between this and the other trim in terms of performance in a second. But just look at the way that these look. They stand out so much at night. It's almost a little more attention grabbing than I would really want for this type of vehicle. And then when you have the blinker on, it takes up part of that giant daytime running light. And that daytime running light actually ends up turning into a metal piece that runs on the hood and even runs down the side of the vehicle into the window trim. And this color that you see right here is the Hampton Gray. It's a very bold color. It's still a sparkly gray, even though it does look a little bit matte at times, but I really like it. It fits the Sonata well, and it just looks good in all lighting. One thing you'll see is that our hybrid model here does not have fog lights, but these headlights still do a nice job. And then at the side of the vehicle, you've got the indicator in the mirror. You've got a great marker light on the side. And these are actually 17-inch wheels. They're aerodynamic wheels, and you even have that fin on the bottom. The body kit helps with aerodynamics. Overall, what do you think of the style of the new Sonata? Now, I do have a full daytime review with all the details if you want to check that out. Doing all sorts of different stuff and a daytime test drive. And as you get to the back, you get LED taillight standard on every trim again, but you'll get full LED on this whole upper portion on the limited and SEL trim, at least with the hybrid. Once again, it really stands out with this LED light bar running across and attaching from one side to the other. And then our blinker on these upper trims is also LED. You do have the reverse lights at the bottom that to me honestly look a little bit cheap, and then your incandescent license plate bulbs. The trunk is slightly illuminated. You can see a little bit of light shining on my backpack, and it is actually fairly spacious. I'll show you more in the full review. All right, as we hop into the back seat, you've got some bright white LED lighting that's only on this limited trim that comes from up above. Nice white leather seats here. I'll go ahead and show you more in the test drive, but you got vents, you've got a USB port, you've even got window shades on this back seat. And then check this out, one cool feature, and you can turn this off or on, but as you approach the vehicle, if you have the key fob with you, you're gonna get your front doors that will actually illuminate with this light. So your door handles will be illuminated, which is kind of a nice touch. And then you've got the same nice bright white leather in here. Looks pretty sweet. You've got the same LED lights from up above. Let's go ahead and hop inside and let me show you what all the buttons look like. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick look at all of the backlit buttons on the interior and the ambient lighting. So first of all, over on the door, all of your buttons and switches have a really nice glow to them. Even the window switches, the lock switches, and your memory settings up on the door as well. And as you can see under this trim piece on the door, there is some ambient lighting. Just to the left of the steering wheel, you can actually control your interior brightness with the button on the left right there. Then your lane keeping system, your traction control, open your trunk, and parking brake. Everything is illuminated. The steering wheel also has some nice illuminated buttons on it. I like the color. It's just a very soft color without being harsh. I'll show you more about how to use all the controls in the full review, but everything is nicely illuminated. And then right in front of us, only the limited trim will give you this digital display right here. It takes up the entire area. So first of all, there are a couple different screens that you can have, so you can change the information in the middle and on the right, depending on what you want. I like to have everything in the middle. Trip computer, tons of available information in the middle, and the coloring on here just looks nice as well, and you can change the coloring. I'll show you that in a little bit. Now I don't have the engine running, that's why you see the lights up above, but when you turn the blinker on, you'll actually get blinker indicators for each side of the vehicle. It's like a little blind spot camera, which is fantastic. And then right in front of us, also only on the limited trim, you get this head-up display here, which shows you a bunch of good information. It's helpful at day and night. And then the lower trims are going to give you an 8-inch touchscreen with a lot of good stuff on it already, but then our top limited gives us this 10.25-inch screen right here. So as you can see, we have a split screen here, left and right. I do have one complaint about Apple CarPlay, which I'll show you in the full review, but you got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. These are not physical buttons on the side, but you can use the star as a shortcut. They're all touch sensitive. Lots of good information, and you can even customize everything that you see on here. For example, if you go to setup, and then if we go to vehicle, you can change your head-up display stuff on here, driver assistance. So I like the fact that with your lights, first we can go to ambient light, and then you can change the brightness. You can completely turn it off if you want, and you can change the color. Right now we're kind of a jade green. Just quickly scroll through a few different colors. It is pretty sweet. I love that you can do that, and you can even set a custom color if you want, and that color is just all throughout the vehicle in a couple different strips, and it really looks great. I love the fact that you can do that. This is only on the limited trim though. But one thing that I really appreciate, if you go to display, you can have, this is where you can change some of your light settings on here, but we have a blue light filter. So blue light from screens can throw off your circadian rhythm and your melatonin production for your sleep, so it can mess up your sleep. You can use a blue light filter on here, even change the warmth of the screen, have it automatic or scheduled times or not at all. So if you do a lot of night driving, this can be really beneficial to make sure that you're not aroused even when you don't realize it. And then as we go ahead and move down, we do get dual zone climate control on here. As you can see, everything is pretty well illuminated on there as well. Nice backlit buttons, good gentle glow. And then down from there, you also have illuminated backlit USB ports and wireless charging. The shifter has a nice glow to it. It is just a push button variety. And then back here, you've got your drive mode selection, parking sensors, your surround vision camera, and brake hold. There's no glow in the cup holders or no overhead glow ambiance for the center console area, and there's no light inside the center console. But the center console is a nice material and it is fairly long. To my surprise, the glove box is not actually illuminated. There is an overhead vanity light that you can turn off and on by yourself. And then right up above, our top limited trim actually gives us LED lights for the interior as well. And like I said, some vehicles have actual little lights right here that shine down for ambiance on the center console, but there's nothing like that up here. Alright, now as we look ahead, you can see the beam pattern. It is a low sitting beam pattern as we run across, but it is quite bright and they have really good distance, as you'll see in the test drive. Now we don't have fog lights, so nothing really changes to the peripheral of the vehicle or right up front. But if we turn the high beams on, pretty nice bright high beams, definitely a big bright spot in the middle. Now the limited trim gives you the top rating from the IIHS, but you do lose some ratings. You lose actually 2 notches in the ratings with the lower trim headlights. Even though they're LED, they just don't get quite as good of ratings when you're going around corners. All right, y'all, we are just getting going in the test drive on this Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. So in this night drive, I'm gonna give you a look at what the headlights are like on some really dark roads. We'll talk a little bit about how they do going around corners, the automatic high beams, how sensitive they are to oncoming traffic or street lights, and I just want you to get a sense of what it's like to drive the Sonata Hybrid at night. And this is going to be largely the same as the non-hybrid model as well. If you want to see a more detailed driving portion with more impressions on the driving dynamics, be sure to check out the full review. Alright, so right off the bat, my first impression is that it definitely has a really nice beam pattern. There are a couple of big dips in the headlight once you get it projected out onto the road. That's so you don't blind oncoming drivers. The IIHS did report glare with these headlights, although not excessive. Alright, so getting on our first road, let me go ahead and just get on it a little bit. And this hybrid surprisingly has some decent pickup, and it actually has a fair amount of engine noise that kind of gets in her powertrain noise. But for the most part, it has been very efficient. I've been happy with it. It's a nice driver for sure. And at night, as you can see the ambiance in here with the ambient lighting that you can of course change. I love that you have a blue light filter on the main screen. The digital display works really well. The head-up display is nice and clear. And of course, this is a fairly well illuminated road, but these headlights are bright enough that they still do help a little bit. We'll get on a darker road in a little bit. The mirror up here is automatic dimming. If you don't have the auto dimming mirror, of course you get a manual flip mirror. The side mirrors though are not automatic dimming on any trim level. Now just for fun, I'm going to turn the high beams on. So they're on automatic high beams, and okay, right away they turned off when that car came around the corner. So that was great. My main thing was to see if they would turn on or even be on with as much light as we have overhead. This road that I'm on actually does, I do see a fair amount of wildlife that crosses it. So sometimes I actually do turn my high beams on this road when it's real dark and desolate. And it was nice to know that they at least did turn on. We've got traffic in front of us now, so they're not going to turn on, which is great. But we'll get on some dark roads here and see how well everything looks in a sec. Alright, we're going to go ahead and turn onto a darker road now. I'm going to put it in sport mode just for a quick second as we turn onto this road so you get an idea of the acceleration. And we'll get on it in just a sec. Alright, sport mode, 1 acceleration. And it gets you up and going. The automatic high beams are on right now. And I can see quite well up there. Let me turn those off. The low beams, now once we level out, they do have decent distance. So I'm going to leave the low beams on for this little bit. We do not have an adaptive function. And these lights aren't the widest. And of course, like I said, no adaptive function. So it's not that well illuminated going up around the corner. But that's the biggest difference between the limited lights and the lower trims, is that the limited actually does do better in corners. So that was not that great. Not like the adaptive lights I've been in recently. I just turned the high beams on. I can see straight ahead really well. Out into the ditch is a little bit dark. I think this could benefit from some fog lights if you actually needed some width or some up close work in the fog. But these headlights are still doing good. You got good distance for the most part. Going around this corner, turn the high beams off again. I wish that the low beams did sit a little bit higher, but they're still doing a nice job. I feel confident with these lights. High beams on, I can see way up ahead. And the high beams just turned off, I'm thinking because of that street light, but now they just turned back on. I can see way up there. The high beams are doing great. My width test, so let's turn the high beams off. I can see kind of diagonal from the car into the ditch, but right out into the sides, not very well. I would like to see that improve. That's my main takeaway with these headlights, is the width. But overall, for the most part, they're doing a good job. It'd be nice if Hyundai would offer an adaptive function like the Kia's light bending technology, but still, I really don't have much to complain about with these headlights. Oncoming traffic just came up and our high beams turned off. Let's see if they turn back on right away. And it took a little bit, but they did. So if you drive the Sonata, I think, especially if you're coming from an older vehicle, you're going to be very happy with how well these headlights do. And like I said, the ambiance in here is great. That is probably my favorite thing about this at night, is the gentle glow of the backlit buttons. It's not harsh. The blue light filter, the ambient lighting, and the colors that you can do in here is just awesome. Now I've got the automatic function turned on again for the high beams. We'll see if we hit some traffic. And this road is a louder surfaced road, so road noise does get in here, but compared to some other sedans and just other vehicles, this is a quiet vehicle considering the class of car that it is. $36,000, and it's quiet for its price point. High beams are on, just went by a street light. We've got oncoming traffic right there, and they just turned back off. So no problems with these high beams, just a little bit delayed when they turn back on. We'll see if they turn back on when these cars go by. And they did, but took a little bit, but still not bad at all. If you have experience with Hyundai's headlights, let me know down below if you own one or if you're thinking about getting one. I do all sorts of night reviews on different vehicles, so you get an idea of what it's like at night. But be sure to check out my daytime review of this Sonata Hybrid, and I have a good and bad 5 likes and dislikes video as well. So be sure to check that out, where I kind of nitpick on the car and point out some things you probably haven't heard about. Be sure to watch these videos down below, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching.